Denis O'Rourke.
Chairman, I want to talk about clauses 1 and 2 because they're not very accurate when you look at the title. For example, Resource Legislation Amendment Act. It should be called the Resource Legislation Compromisation Act, because that actually would be a more descriptive term for what the bill does and doesn't do. And it does compromise the Resource Management Act in so many different ways. And New Zealand First has especially sought to emphasise the iwi participation agreements, and that includes the Maori terminology which has been inserted in the bill as well in relation to that, and all the related provisions of that. And these permeate the entire bill from one end to the other. And if you look at my SOP, it's a long list of the many and various ways in which the iwi participation agreements and all those related provisions actually do permeate the bill. And we in New Zealand First say this. We say that that compromises the entire bill because it means that one section of the community is given rights that other sections of the community do not have. And the presumption is made that the Treaty of Waitangi provides a rationale for doing that. But the truth is, the Treaty of Waitangi gives no such right to Maori iwi to have those special rights. None at all. None whatsoever. So where this came from, I don't know, except I do know one thing. I know why it's in the bill, not necessarily because the government itself wanted it, because the only way they could get this legislation through Parliament is by securing 2 votes from the Maori Party, and the government was willing to compromise the whole bill in order to get what it wanted through. So this is a dirty little deal done behind closed doors in that way so the government could get what it's wanted, and it's been willing to accommodate all these rather ridiculous, totally unnecessary provisions that the Maori Party has sought, which compromise the entire bill. And it's not only that. Far from making the RMA less complicated and creating less bureaucracy, those provisions create an entire new level of bureaucracy which wasn't in the Act before. So the Minister's claims that this is fighting bureaucracy are totally vacuous. And not only that, it creates more expense, and we won't know for some time what those greater expenses will be. But there's no doubt in my mind that it'll cost a lot more. So the real effects of those iwi participation agreements won't be known for some time, but the New Zealand public will see it time after time as they look at plan changes, as they look at consents that go through the system. They'll see it and they'll react, and I can tell the Minister right now and the government that it won't be a positive reaction. Mr. Chairman, the fundamental problem that the government has got with this bill is that it has failed to take the public with it. And you only need to look at the magnitude of the objections that came in during the consultation process. All of those submissions that came in, by far the overwhelming number of them were against the provisions in this bill. And in my last minute, can I go on to a couple of other things? The powers of the Minister to override plans, regional and district plans, are much greater than the Minister claimed. He claimed that, no, don't worry, it's very limited. But in fact, when you look at what's there is the word amendment is used in one section, which shows unmistakably that the Minister can require amendment of plans, not just take things out. That sort of executive power is unnecessary, shouldn't be in the bill, and there's a lot of objection to that amongst the members of the public. And finally, on GE crops, I agree with what other members have said about that. The Maori Party has simply been hoodwinked over that. It thinks it's achieved something by the amendment that Marama Fox put forward. The truth is she achieved nothing, didn't even define the term crops properly, and that is another way in which the whole bill has been compromised. Mr Speaker, this bill will have to be repealed.
The Honourable Ruth Dyson.